Welcome to Incredible, where we discover the weird and wonderful in this world. Now, how do architects and builders get large sports stadiums to hold up for decades? As we're about to see, that doesn't always happen. What happens when the stadium roof collapses? Well, join us now as Incredible looks at 6 stadium roofs that collapsed. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when we upload a video. Number 1. Metrodome Collapse. Minneapolis is known for its brutal blizzards, but few people expected a fierce snowstorm to cancel the 12 December 2010 game between the Minnesota Vikings and New York Giants, let alone take out the team's home at the Metrodome. Built in 1982, the Metrodome had been the home for many exciting events. In fact, as of 2021, the Metrodome was the only venue to host a World Series, Super Bowl, NCAA Division I Final Four game, and a Major League Baseball All-Star game. However, none of these spectaculars compared to what happened on the morning of 12 December 2010. The amazing events of 12 December were captured on video thanks to a clever camera crew. The night before, a Fox Sports crew saw water leaking through the roof and snow falling and decided to set up cameras. Little did they know what would just play out. According to stadium operations team member Pete Eisenschneck, the air-supported roof featured an exterior layer of Teflon-coated fiberglass material and an inner layer of fabric that served as the bowl ceiling. The dome collapsed 4 times during the 80s, but over 20 years passed without incident. Despite the dome's durability, the ravages of time began to take effect. In 2010, the dome's manufacturer recommended the dome be repaired due to a number of holes. This request was turned down with disastrous results, a common theme in several of our stadium roof collapses. As the snow began to fall, the stadium's crew went into snow mode, preparing the dome for snow accumulation by heating the building along with the fabrics in order to melt the snow. The crew normally would have hosed off any snow accumulation on the roof, but snow began dropping towards the center of the dome, leaving Eisenschneck unable to hose off any more snow. Now he and his team had to hope for the best. But they got anything but the best as the snow continued falling. Eisenschneck got a first-hand account of the dome's collapse as he decided to stay at the Metrodome rather than go home and get stuck in the weather. He was driving a forklift when he heard an explosion and the dome collapsed. He floored the accelerator and barely made his way to safety. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. The Metrodome's crew had an enormous cleanup job ahead of them, and the football game scheduled for 12 December was relocated to Detroit's Ford Field. The dome was repaired by 1st August 2011, but the Metrodome's days were numbered. In 2014, the venue was demolished and replaced by the US Bank Stadium in 2016. Number 2. The Twente Football Stadium Collapse. This stadium collapse came during efforts to expand football club Twente Groesfeest Stadium, aka the Dutch Fortress's seating capacity from 13,000 to 32,000 by extending the L-shaped extension completed in 2008 into a U-shaped one. Things seemed to be going well until 7th July 2011 when the roof collapsed and 11 workers fell from a great height. One witness described the collapse as, "It collapsed with a huge noise like a house of cards." This was no house of cards, however, as the crash killed 2 workers and injured 9 more, leading to an investigation as to what went wrong. The Dutch Safety Board determined that the roof collapsed at Football Club FC Twente Groesfeest Stadium due to a lack of lateral bracing at the back of the structure, and the report added that the underlying cause of the collapse was failure by the main contractor to carry out basic safety checks. A monument was later erected to honour the fallen workers. Number 3. The AFAS Stadium. Another Dutch football club stadium fell apart, this time an example of how a previously unknown event can lead to a stadium's collapse down the road. Football club AZ Alkmaar's AFAS Stadium in Alkmaar, Netherlands opened in 2006 and everything seemed to be going smoothly. The next year, a storm struck, but unbeknownst to anyone, it weakened the stadium's roof, setting the stage for a future failure. On 10th August 2019, the stadium collapsed after strong winds blew through. While no one was hurt, the football club was forced to play its remaining matches at another stadium. Now, there were a number of theories about why the roof collapsed, with one being recent installation of roughly 1,700 solar panels by the firm Sun Projects. The solar outfit denied that the panels played any role in the collapse, and a later investigation confirmed this, determining the final report found that the main cause of the collapse was that the welds in the stand were too thin, with design errors in the joints contributing to the collapse. The downward wind load led to the roof of the collapse, with the structure having been weakened by the storm shortly after the stadium was opened back in 2006. The stadium underwent a renovation after the collapse, and it opened in 2021 with an expanded capacity of 21,000 seats. Number 4. The Arena Corinthians collapse. Does haste make waste? Well, in the case of Sao Paulo's Brazil's Arena Corinthians World Cup Stadium, a rush to complete the project before the 2014 World Cup Games began may have cost the lives of 2 workers. In November 2013, a disaster struck when the workers were putting the final 500-ton piece of the stadium roof on when the accident happened. A giant crane that was lifting the section tipped over, crushing the workers. A considerable controversy surrounding the accident has rumours spread as that the project's overseers had rushed to get it done. According to the UK Guardian, workers have suggested that speed was a top priority on the construction site, with many working 12-hour shifts and giving up holidays. The hastiness may have overridden safety concerns, as a Civil Industry Workers Association president told the Associated Press that supervisors pressed ahead with the operation to finish the roof despite several rainy days that soaked the soil. He said the engineer warned his supervisor that it appeared the ground was not stable enough to support the 500-ton section of roofing. The 2 deaths were just part of a larger controversy surrounding Brazil's multi-billion-dollar efforts to build a new stadium for 2014's World Cup, as critics blasted Brazilian officials for excessive expenditures on building stadiums, some of which would go unused after the World Cup. Number 5. Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin Stadium. Now, it's often said that lightning doesn't strike twice, but what about stadium collapses? In 2009, catastrophe struck the Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin Stadium on 2nd June when the stadium's roof collapsed. The 50,000-seat facility had opened in 2008, and just little over a year later, over half of its steel roofing collapsed, taking out much of the stadium's seating. Thankfully, the collapse occurred in the morning, and while staff were present, no one was injured. But that wasn't the case on 20th February 2013 when the roof collapsed again. This time around, people were present, with construction workers dismantling the stadium's original roof. According to one report, steel structures supporting the roof collapsed, dropping rubble onto 5 workers. 3 of the 5 workers were seriously injured, while the other 2 escaped with minor injuries. In light of the 2 collapses, it was time to play the blame game. The first collapse was attributed to a flawed design and the use of the wrong materials, but how had the stadium crumbled again? Well, the investigation into the second accident found various parties at fault. The main cause of the collapse was that the components used and the work quality did not meet specifications, the design was not suitable, and the roof was not constructed properly. Poor quality control, insufficient supervision, and the lack of skilled workers were also blamed. The report also noted the shortage of experts and experienced consultants, as well as the apathy of everyone involved could also be blamed for the incident. And number 6, BC Place Stadium roof deflates. What happens when the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing? In this case, the stadium's roof goes boom. BC Place in Vancouver, British Columbia opened in 1983, boasting the world's largest air-supported roof, aka the Big Pillow. On 5th January 2007, the Big Pillow turned into a big mess as snow accumulated on the structure, with the structure tearing. Thankfully, the stadium's maintenance staff were able to perform a controlled deflation. However, the snow wasn't to blame, as an independent report ruled a combination of human error and a flaw with one of the roof's fabric panels led to the roof deflating. According to the report, the roof began sagging on 5th January, which led to 2 BC Place workers activating the inflation system. One of those workers used a computer to turn on one fan, which would have been sufficient. But elsewhere, another employee turned on half of the building's 16,100 horsepower fans, causing it to superinflate. Unbeknownst to the stadium officials, one of the roof's panels had been damaged years earlier by a windstorm. The analysis of the roof collapse determined the human error, defective panel, and mild winds created a perfect storm. Fortunately, there were no injuries, but officials did have to pump out water from rain and melted snow leaking through the roof. Well, there you have it, folks. 6 stadium roofs that collapsed. Would you like to see more of these? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more incredible content.